can't sales and marketing just get along? This is Craig Oldham with Mahdlo, and I'm here with our good friend Frank Mona. He is our Chief Revenue Officer Advisor and works in the sales space. Frank, welcome.
Craig, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so we wanted to get together. We worked on a couple of clients together around building this idea that sales and marketing can really get along, right? And so, yes. We certainly have some best practices, and let's just get the cat out of the bag. Why don't you ever follow up on the leads that I send you?
Because the leads suck. Come on, Craig. They're terrible.
Exactly, right? And I mean, that's the genesis of the problem for all the CEOs listening. That's really where you get into it, right? You're in the boardroom,
Yep.
Sales and marketing are fighting like cats and dogs, and you're trying to figure out how do we kind of build this collaboration piece, right? And so from your perspective, and talk to me as your CMO, you're coming to the room. What do you want your CMO to come and tell you or ask you?
I want him to ask me. I mean, really, that's it. Let's collaborate. Let's work together on an integrated plan so that we can make 1 + 1 = 3 versus operating in silos where whatever you throw over the fence, I have to take and implement or leverage or work with my clients on, with it not necessarily lining up for what I need. So that really to me is the first step, is that collaboration, so that we have an integrated game plan that reflects what marketing is trying to accomplish, obviously from brand awareness, customer communication, content, whatever else that they're working on, but making sure that what's delivered actually lines up with the clients that I'm going after, the content that I need to communicate with them on, the market segments I'm talking to. And again, by ensuring that collaboration happens, we're all going to win. Again, it's going to be that 1 + 1 = 3 versus 1 + 1 = 1.5, because we haven't talked to each other and don't know what each other needs.
Well, that's right. That's right. I mean, the worst thing you want to do, right, when this thing breaks down, it is marketing sending out a bunch of material, and the salespeople are like, "What are you doing?" Right?
Exactly.
And so that's what we're trying to avoid. And it's very simple, to your point, in fixing this, right? It's planning together. Half of the time when you go through this, the sales team is doing their planning, the marketing team is doing their planning. They're both living in their silos. And what I typically will tell a CMO is there's two people in the organization you need to talk to. One is your CFO, and the other person is your CRO, right? Your head of sales, because those are the two people that are going to measure your success. You can't really build this in a silo.
Absolutely.
So when you think about the idea of kind of building this out, right, and building out the journey, because it is kind of one experience that we're trying to create.
Absolutely.
When you think about this, what are kind of the keys to the success of this? I know that we've got this 100-day plan that we do. It doesn't always take 100 days, but it kind of sets you on a course, either a startup component of this, or it's actually an analysis, an assessment of where you are on this journey, right? It's a 7-step program. I'm going to put them in the show notes. We'll take a look at them. But I wanted to talk to you about two in particular that we do a lot of collaboration on, where it doesn't typically work within an organization a lot of times, right? So the first one is around customer experience and lifecycle management. I'd love to get the sales perspective on it, and then I'll give my marketing 2 cents.
Sure. So in my mind, the customer experience starts from when we're identifying a prospect to when they've been a customer for 5 years, right? So that whole process has to be thought through and integrated from a sales and marketing standpoint, because I think, to your point earlier, we don't want a process where the customer, we sell the customer, and then everything that marketing does afterwards, it makes absolutely no sense. It's incongruent. It's superfluous. It's, not doing anything to help, engender that customer to us and have them be a long-term, client, regardless of whether they're under contract or not, let's say in a B2B sense. So again, that customer experience is got to be an integrated, step-by-step process that goes along the entire pre-sales, sales, post-sales process, when it gets handed off to operations, and when, again, regardless of how far that goes out. So in my mind, I want to make sure that process is going to keep my customer loyal, keep them engaged, keep them happy with what they currently have, as well as tee up things that we have that are new, different from what they currently have, and enabling us to be able to cross-sell and upsell and extend the lifetime of that customer and the revenue stream for that customer. And again, as we've talked about before and how we've worked before, that really dovetails into the life cycle management of the customer, right? So if you've got this integrated customer experience mapped out over all of those phases I spoke about, then it dovetails into the life cycle management, when then at that point, all you're doing is executing the components of the communications process into how we're going to ensure that customer stays with us for the lifetime of their experience with our company. So to me, that's how those things come together.
Starting to sound like a marketer. I didn't actually know salespeople cared about the customer experience. I thought we were just going to go in and out, man. I love to hear that. That's great.
Hey, it's all about long-term revenue.
It is. And I think you're right. It's really about the experience, but it's also about building a really good customer experience to fundamentally change the economics of your acquisition costs and of your lifetime value, right? And that's the way that I think a lot of marketers should be thinking about customer experience, is how can I help retain a customer relationship longer than I probably should,
sure,
based on the processes that I have in place. So I fundamentally change my economics and my allowables and acquisition costs. So I think we're totally on the same page on that one. So that's awesome. Love that. The second one I want to talk about is channel strategy, right?
Sure.
And go-to-market pieces. And again, I will yield to my sales partner. Tell me a little bit about channel strategy and how you think about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to put it in a B2B context. I think that's a little bit easier to explain. So when I look at it, I'm looking at a few different things. One, okay, what's my forecast, right? What's my revenue forecast I'm trying to achieve? What's the easiest way for me to achieve that? And I think that then really, at that point, it becomes self-evident of the strategy that we need to build in order to be able to achieve those numbers. So the first way, of course, is direct sales, right? So I hire an army of people, we go out and we approach the marketplace. And that's probably the easiest way to do it from the standpoint that I control who I'm bringing on board, their skill set, their Rolodex, what they bring to the table in terms of industry expertise, how quickly they're going to be able to ramp up and start bringing in revenue. So, and it's probably the easiest way for me to collaborate with marketing, because I can clearly explain all the materials that we need from a proposal standpoint, from a job aid, brochure, whatever the case might be standpoint. So that's the most logical and probably the quickest way to be able to get there. But beyond that, there's obviously a number of other ways to approach the market, right? There could be leveraging third-party companies that have expertise in the particular vertical markets that you're going after. So you find the best ones and you quickly are able to, ramp up and expand, more quickly than you would just by hiring people yourself. Or it could be joint marketing partnerships where there's companies that are already established in a space that we can leverage to sell into their customer base, and vice versa. They can, market back to our customers as we're growing them, and so we mutually benefit from, our existing bases, if you will. And then there's a number of other channel strategies we can employ as well. But in my mind, it's really all about how do I get to my revenue? What's the most expeditious way to do that, and most cost effective as well? And depending upon the vertical or the type of customer relationship we're establishing, then we evaluate those different channels and then dovetail them in, because the last thing you want to do is have channel noise where you have 3 different channels all competing for the same customer. So ensuring that they're operating in market segments unto themselves, and really, again, having it be 1 + 1 = 3 and not 1 + 1 = 1.5. That's really the key to an effective channel strategy as well.
No, absolutely. And we've talked a lot about this in the past, where you're actually looking at growing a business, right? And so you're saying, okay, with a good product and a really good salesperson, you might be able to get to 30, $40 million worth of revenue.
Sure.
Right? To get to that $100 million worth of revenue, you can buy a couple of more Rolodexes and get to that 100 million. But to get to that 500 million, that's where sales and marketing collaboration come in. You've got to make sure you have the right strategy alignment. You've got to make sure you have the right processes, technology, and people in place, right? And all of those things are kind of coming together to help you get through these barriers, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we talk a lot about that, and I know we do a lot of that with our customers as well and our clients. So, when you think about this, we've got this 100-day plan that we put together that we said before. Take a look at it on the show notes. We basically go through and take a look at all of the different 7 parts of this collaboration that are really important to make sure sales and marketing together are driving your growth engine.
Absolutely.
So my 3 takeaways today, Frank, and you have to tell me, keep me straight, my sales guy, is we've got to talk and plan together, right? We've got to have fierce conversations where required, right? Not the nice conversations, but the ones that really matter. My leads are terrible. Why aren't you following up on my leads? How do we kind of go to market together? The second thing is around collaboration and shared goals. And I think this is easier said than done, but it's really about collaborating, making sure that the close rates on the leads that I'm sending over to you are closing at the same rate that you can close them yourselves.
Absolutely.
Or from sales generated leads, right? And then thirdly is take a look at our 7-step plan. It's a gratuitous plug. Don't mean to do that on this piece, but it's all, it's free. Consider it free consulting, but take a look at the show notes. We've got 7 steps, 7 priorities that you really need to look at when you're looking for sales and marketing to collaborate.
You got it.
All right.
Great job, Craig.
Hey, Frank, thanks for joining.
My pleasure.
So glad to have you as a part of the team.
I'm loving being here.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Sounds great.